Jackets Trade Deadline special. Dylan Tyrer here with you alongside Bob McElligott and Jody Shelley. We just heard from Blue Jackets General Manager Jarmo Kekalainen. Nothing official, but being reported that Max Domi has been traded to the Carolina Hurricanes. What are your guys' thoughts on this move? Jody, let's start with you. Obviously, we thought some other things might happen for the Blue Jackets, but it turns out right now it's just Max Domi. How do you like this move for Carolina and the Blue Jackets?
Well, I like it for the Blue Jackets just because he's going to be his contract is up. You got to get something for Max Domi. It was interesting. Jarmo talked about a roster player. You know, that's something that he wants to get. He values what he has. He understands his assets and what they're worth. So, and he's in a what's he called, a retool. So, you know, you got to get those players that can play. It's not just draft picks. It's guys that have been in the organization for a couple of years. Or in this case, the kid they picked up is at Boston College, and he's a prospect. So those are important pieces. And for Carolina, they're getting a great playmaker. You know, how does he fit in that system? It's very strict. It's very structured. I think it'll be great for Max because that's a team that has a chance to push. And with his skill set, I think they'll be surprised at what he can bring.
Yeah, I agree with Jody fully. I mean, you've got to get something for Max Domi. I mean, we've been talking about he was likely the guy that was going to go, him and Korpisalo. That one didn't happen. But with Max, there are more wingers that are coming in here. I mean, Kent Johnson's coming in here. Kirill Marchenko's coming. Voronkov is coming in 2 years. So you've got to start to move some guys out for guys that are coming. And Max did a great job while he was here, but the value is what they got today. I mean, that's they did what they could do, and they got something for him. As you were talking about with Carolina, yeah, he is a good playmaker. They've got a very talented team. But let's not forget, he's also a guy that will get right up in your face when he needs to. And they're going to the playoffs, and they want to win the Stanley Cup. You've got to get some guys like that. You have to have at least one on your roster. The Hurricanes now do.
What about the players that weren't dealt by the Blue Jackets? It was rumored that Joonas Korpisalo could be going somewhere. Dean Kukan, he was another hot name. You surprised to see that the Blue Jackets ended up hanging on to him, Jody?
Well, we were talking about this earlier, and Dean Kukan, to me, is one of those players that, you know, you want a big, sturdy defenseman in the playoffs, and he can provide that. But, you know, I guess the team just wasn't willing to pay what they were asking. And I like Dean Kukan. I think he's the type of defenseman here with Columbus that once you move him along, you're going to miss him. You know, because he's no nonsense, he's no maintenance. He's a guy that just does his work out there. And there's an upside to him. So I don't mind that at all. And you can speak to Joonas. I think you had a great take on Joonas Korpisalo and you know, what it means where he's at right now, Bob.
Well, I think that, you know, with Joonas Korpisalo, he's been such a good teammate here for years. And then this year is just the worst year that he could possibly have. I mean, he had zero luck this year. He started in training camp. He had an injury. He didn't start on time. Elvis took the spot right out of training camp. When he was healthy and in games, either the team didn't play well in front of him or he just didn't have a good night. He was out with injury. He was out with COVID. Every time he turned around, it was something for Joonas Korpisalo. So there really wasn't going to be a return there for him. And now Elvis Merzlikins is hurt, and you've already had to call up J.F. Berube from Cleveland. This gives you the opportunity to still continue to play an NHL goaltender, and it gives him a chance to get his game back. Whether he comes back here as a free agent or whether he goes somewhere else, this is a great opportunity for him. He knows he's going to be the guy right now while Elvis is out. He's got to take it and make the most of that. So they could have dealt him, and that would have been one thing, but I'm glad he's still here.
Yeah, his value isn't where it was 4 months ago, and so that's something they got to work through.
Well, for those wondering, the reported return for Max Domi, by the way, from the Carolina Hurricanes defenseman Aiden Herchuk. He is a freshman defenseman, just finished up his freshman year at Boston College, had a goal and 7 assists for 8 points there. He was drafted 94th overall, third round in this past summer's NHL entry draft by Carolina. By all accounts, a very mobile defenseman, a guy who likes to play physical, about 5'11", 190 pounds. And from what I've heard, Boston College this year had a really, really deep defensive unit full of upperclassmen. So he didn't necessarily have the greatest opportunity this season to put up points and play a whole lot. But going forward, the expectation is that he'll likely be Boston College's number one. So definitely a nice add to the Blue Jackets pipeline out of Hockey East. But before we wrap things here, because I know you guys have a flight to catch to go to Pittsburgh, the Blue Jackets have games to play, right?
Always in a hurry to go to Pittsburgh, Dylan. Always.
There is action after the trade deadline. Everybody was anticipating this NHL trade deadline, but there are real hockey games to be played, remember. What are your guys' thoughts on other moves around the National Hockey League? Do you have a favorite or maybe an underrated favorite that really helps a contender?
I'm not sure if it's underrated, but Tampa picking up Hagel and Paul, quietly to me, that team knows how to win.
Yeah.
I know Florida has got a lot. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot of sweetness there. But to me, that Tampa Bay pickup, those two pickups, to play there with that goaltender, their defense, and the way they understand how to win, that's to me, that's a big deal. Toughness in the playoffs, understanding the metal you have to play with, and what it takes to grind through. I think right now they sit in the East as my favorite.
Were you sorry, Bob?
Okay.
Were you surprised by how much Chicago Chicago got for Brandon Hagel? A couple of first-round picks.
Yes, but I was even more pleasantly surprised to see the reaction from his teammates in the locker room when he left Chicago. You know, I didn't realize he was that important of a player there, and that says to me that there was a lot of teams after him. They understand what they're getting, and they know what they did with Coleman and that line, Goodrow, the past couple of seasons. So they understand that, and I think understanding that in a locker room, who cares what you pay? Yeah. You want to win a third Stanley Cup and make history, you go do that.
Yeah, I mean, the window is short, right?
Yeah.
It's not open for long. They know that, and you're right. We were talking about this earlier. That has the potential to be Goudreau and Coleman from the past 2 years. When they added those two players, they were a different team than the one the Blue Jackets swept. They were a team that won back-to-back Stanley Cups, and it was not a coincidence. Those guys were a big factor. But I like that pickup with Minnesota getting Marc-Andre Fleury because, look, Minnesota's had a good year. You want to talk about a team who has a limited window? The buyouts that they just gave to Ryan Suter and Zach Parise are going to come back to haunt them really soon. So their time is now if they want to take a run at this. So they went for it. Bill Guerin, he played with Marc-Andre Fleury. They won a cup together in Pittsburgh. He gets him to come there and play. Look, Minnesota early in the year was sniffing around for goaltenders. For anybody that's surprised that they needed to make a change of goaltending, they knew it for months, and they finally were able to make it today. That gives them a guy that has that experience. Cam Talbot's still there. He'll play some important games down the stretch, I'm sure, but Marc-Andre Fleury has done it before, and you talk about this. That experience at playoff time, to have that guy in your room, and Marc-Andre Fleury is a guy that adds to any room that he is in with his personality. That'll be big for them.
I agree, and I think that, again, with Guerin, he was such a good locker room guy that he understands.
He's why they won a cup.
Exactly.
He came there and he helped Sid learn to be a captain.
Exactly. And when you get that and you add that dynamic, to me, Fleury, I've met him briefly, but he seems like the greatest guy in the National Hockey League. So forget about the goaltending. The boost that they feel right now in Minnesota, the players are a little taller, they're a little more excited, they're a little quicker, there's more energy. It's a perfect little push for them.
Yeah, I love that Marc-Andre Fleury to Minnesota move too. I think it's going to be a big boost for them. They're obviously they're a good team. They're a heavy team. I think they'll be good in the playoffs, and they needed that goaltending. So I'm happy to see Fleury get another shot.
I hope he plays Saturday night.
Yeah, right.
They got tougher too.
Yes, Delorier.
And bigger. So yeah, they'll be a handful.
All right, guys, I'll let you catch your flight now. Thanks for this. We appreciate the time.
Thanks, Dylan.
All right, remember, Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins going at it tomorrow. A watch party for that game at Standard Hall, so make sure to check that out. Doors opening at 6 o'clock ahead of Buck Drop.
Fun.
Yeah, Standard, right?
Let's stay.
No, let's go to Pittsburgh.
All right, you can catch the game on Valley Sports Ohio. Jody Shelley and Jeff Rimmer on the call, and then Bob McElligott with the play-by-play on the Blue Jackets Radio Network. So we'll talk to you then. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.